In an era where society expected restraint and modesty, some of Hollywood's most dazzling stars appeared to follow their own set of rules. Whispers of their fiery affairs and secret trysts spread like wildfire, some so scandalous they continue to captivate audiences even today. But were these leading ladies merely seeking love and adventure, or was their hunger for something far more insatiable? In this revealing exposé, we peel back the layers of secrecy surrounding 25 actresses whose reckless passions and controversial romances turned them into icons both on and off the silver screen. Stay with us as we delve into the truth behind their pleasure-driven existences and explore the consequences they faced for living life without boundaries. Jayne Mansfield. Often regarded as Marilyn Monroe's fiercest competitor, Jayne Mansfield stood as one of the most unforgettable sex symbols of the 1950s and 60s. With her voluptuous curves and exuberant charm, she effortlessly seized the public's fascination. Yet her personal life was just as sensational as her on-screen persona. Over the years, she entered 3 marriages while engaging in numerous extramarital flings, further cementing her reputation as a seductress. Deeply intertwined with the Playboy lifestyle, Mansfield frequently blurred the boundaries between her celebrity status and private affairs, leveraging her bombshell image to remain in the limelight. However, her marriages eventually collapsed under the weight of infidelity, and those who knew her well often spoke of her insatiable appetite for passion. Rumors swirled about dalliances with high-profile figures, including President John F. Kennedy. For many, Mansfield's identity was inextricably linked to her sensuality, with some speculating that she thrived on the adoration and affirmation that came with being an object of desire. Tragically, her life ended abruptly at 34 in a fatal car crash, leaving behind a legacy of glamour, scandal, and unrealized promise. Rita Hayworth. Rita Hayworth, one of Hollywood's most legendary leading ladies of the 1940s, is forever remembered for her sizzling performance in Gilda and her equally tumultuous romantic entanglements. Despite her sultry on-screen presence, Hayworth was introverted and reserved in private. Yet, she repeatedly found herself entangled with domineering, charismatic men, a pattern that led to 5 marriages, including highly publicized unions with director Orson Welles and Prince Ali Khan. Behind closed doors, Hayworth's love life was far from idyllic. Her yearning for emotional intimacy was frequently met with disillusionment, as many suitors appeared more enamored with the siren she portrayed in films than the real woman beneath the facade. She once poignantly remarked, "Men fell in love with Gilda, but woke up with me," exposing the painful divide between her public persona and private struggles. Her battles with alcoholism only deepened the turmoil, complicating her lifelong quest for true love and connection. While she never openly addressed sex addiction, her pattern of chaotic relationships and unfulfilled longing hinted at deeper issues of self-esteem and emotional voids. Barbara Lamar. Dubbed the girl who was too beautiful, Barbara Lamar was a silent film starlet and screenwriter whose off-screen exploits rivaled the most dramatic of her movie roles. Renowned for her mesmerizing beauty, she became equally infamous for her hedonistic lifestyle. Convinced that sleep was a frivolous waste of time, Lamar immersed herself in Hollywood's nocturnal underworld, surrounded by a relentless rotation of lovers. Married 5 times, though some unions remained shrouded in mystery due to her secretive tendencies, Lamar appeared to chase both exhilaration and affection. Her tempestuous romances and unquenchable thirst for pleasure likely contributed to her untimely demise at just 29. Officially, her death was attributed to tuberculosis and nephritis, but persistent rumors suggest that her reckless partying and rumored drug use hastened her decline. Though the term sex addiction didn't exist in her time, Lamar's insatiable appetite for passion and her relentless hunt for companionship imply a life driven by something far deeper than mere ambition. Joan Crawford. Joan Crawford's real-life drama was as intense as the commanding roles that made her a silver screen legend. Known for her powerhouse performances and iron-willed demeanor, Crawford's personal life was a whirlwind of high-profile romances and a reputation for being ruthlessly domineering. Her adopted daughter's memoir, Mommy Dearest, painted a chilling portrait of Crawford's manipulative and sometimes abusive tendencies, adding further complexity to her legacy. Romantically, she was linked to Hollywood's elite, including Douglas Fairbanks Jr., Clark Gable, and Spencer Tracy. Her need for control extended into her love life, fueling whispers of countless affairs and illicit encounters. Many believed Crawford wielded her magnetic allure as a tool to ascend Hollywood's ranks and preserve her reign as a top-tier starlet. With 5 marriages and innumerable dalliances, her relentless pursuit of love and validation seemed inextricably tied to her craving for the spotlight, where she found both adoration and a fragile sense of identity. Lupe Velez. Lupe Velez, famously known as the Mexican Spitfire, was a blazing force of nature during Hollywood's golden age, both in her films and her personal life. Her electrifying charisma and fiery temperament enchanted audiences, but her stormy romances often overshadowed her acting career. Velez was linked to some of Tinseltown's biggest names, including Gary Cooper, Johnny Weissmuller, whom she married, Charlie Chaplin, and Clark Gable. Her relationship with Cooper was especially volatile, marked by fiery passion and fits of jealousy. Reports even claim she once shot at him during a heated argument. Unapologetically bold in her sexuality, Velez craved love and attention, leading to murmurs that her pursuit of affection sometimes bordered on obsession. The pressures of fame, combined with her fervent nature, spurred rumors of a possible sex addiction. Tragically, her life ended in despair in 1944 when, heartbroken by a failed romance and an unexpected pregnancy, she died by suicide, leaving behind a legacy of a woman as consumed by her desires as she was captivating on screen. Ava Gardner. Ava Gardner was far more than the smoldering screen siren the world adored. Beneath her dazzling exterior lay a woman wrestling with profound self-doubt and an unyielding independence that distinguished her from Hollywood's elite. Though she wed 3 of the industry's most illustrious men, Mickey Rooney, Artie Shaw, and Frank Sinatra, Gardner's private world was infinitely more intricate than the scandal sheets implied. Surprisingly, she never fully succumbed to the allure of Hollywood's glittering social whirl. Despite her iconic status, she gravitated towards solitude, often escaping to her Spanish villa, where she immersed herself in the raw passion of bullfighting and the rhythmic intensity of flamenco. Unlike her peers, who thrived on publicity, Gardner cherished her seclusion, wielding fame as a shield rather than a spotlight. It was in Spain that she discovered true solace, far removed from Tinseltown's suffocating expectations. Her romance with Sinatra remains one of Hollywood's most tormented love stories, a tempest of ardor, volatility, and heartbreaking complexity. Their marriage was a battleground of jealousy, explosive fights, and emotional chaos, with Sinatra's insecurities about her beauty and fierce autonomy igniting endless strife. Yet their connection defied their divorce, as Sinatra quietly supported her financially during her later years of hardship. Despite triumphs in films like Magambo and The Barefoot Contessa, Gardner remained disarmingly humble about her craft, crediting her looks over her talent for sustaining her career. In the 1950s, her defiance of convention drew FBI scrutiny. Her affair with Spanish matador Luis Miguel Dominguín and her expatriate life during McCarthyism sparked unfounded suspicions of communist ties. Though baseless, the surveillance underscored how her unapologetic choices, in love and life, solidified her legacy as a woman who answered to no one. Marion Davies. Marion Davies was a comedic genius and gifted actress, yet her decades-long entanglement with media tycoon William Randolph Hearst often eclipsed her artistry. While their bond was public knowledge, whispers persisted of a fiery dalliance with Charlie Chaplin during her time with Hearst, a rumored triangle that allegedly stoked Hearst's possessive rages, feeding Hollywood's gossip mill for years. Though deeply loyal to Hearst until his death, Davies' flirtatious charm and friendships with powerful industry men fueled a reductive narrative that painted her as a mercenary social climber, her talent drowned out by salacious headlines. Her candidness about sexuality and the unequal dynamics of her relationship with Hearst only deepened the misconceptions haunting her legacy, leaving her brilliance as a performer tragically overshadowed by tabloid fodder. Mae West. Mae West's legacy as a sultry provocateur and queen of double entendres obscures her razor-sharp business acumen and pioneering spirit in an era when studios dictated every aspect of a star's life. West brokered contracts granting her unprecedented control, approving scripts, selecting roles, and even overseeing final edits, a radical feat for a 1930s actress. Her shrewd negotiation skills and unshakable confidence safeguarded both her creative autonomy and financial prosperity. Behind the bawdy persona, West led a surprisingly subdued private life. From 1954 until her death in 1980, she shared a quiet, devoted partnership with Chester Rabonsky, later Paul Novak, 3 decades her junior. Though they never married, Novak remained her steadfast companion, their relationship shielded from public scrutiny. While West reveled in her reputation as a man-eater, she guarded her genuine romances with discretion. A trailblazing ally to the LGBTQ+ community, she celebrated drag culture, casting performers in her stage shows, and openly supporting gay men who found refuge in her exaggerated femininity, a mirror to their own marginalized identities. In 1927, she penned The Drag, a groundbreaking play exploring gay subcultures, though censors shuddered it for its audacious themes. Beyond the stage, West amassed a fortune through astute real estate investments, snapping up Los Angeles properties before the boom, ensuring lifelong financial independence rare among her peers. Mae West was more than a purring sex symbol. She was a visionary entrepreneur, LGBTQ+ advocate, and master of self-invention. Louise Brooks. Louise Brooks, the silent film era's most defiant iconoclast, radiated rebellion both on-screen and off. Best known for her electrifying turn in Pandora's Box, Brooks approached life with a fearless authenticity that scandalized and mesmerized in equal measure. Unlike her contemporaries, she openly flaunted affairs with men and women alike, rejecting the era's stifling expectations of female propriety. Hollywood's attempts to pigeonhole her as a wholesome ingenue failed spectacularly. Brooks embraced her identity as a liberated woman, though she resisted labels like bisexual. Her candidness about desire and disdain for hypocrisy made her a thorn in the industry's side. She vocally condemned its exploitation of women, lambasting the double standard that profited from sexuality while punishing its expression. Brooks's legacy endures as a beacon of artistic integrity and unbridled autonomy, a woman who lived and loved on her own terms. Zsa Zsa Gabor. Zsa Zsa Gabor's 9 marriages and diamond-drenched wit cemented her as Hollywood's quintessential glamour puss, but beneath the sequins lay a shrewd survivor. Born into Hungarian aristocracy, her early years were marked by convent schooling and a Miss Hungary crown, 1936. Yet World War II forced a harrowing escape to America. Hollywood became her stage for reinvention, where she mastered the art of celebrity as performance, long before influencers existed. Her legendary quips, "I never hated a man enough to give him his diamonds back," masked a razor-sharp business mind. She parlayed fame into TV gigs, endorsements, and real estate, ensuring financial independence. While tabloids fixated on her husbands, Gabor cultivated enduring friendships with Elizabeth Taylor and European nobility, straddling high society with effortless charm. A 2002 car accident left her partially paralyzed, dimming her once vibrant public life, but never her spirit. Even a late-life hospitalization after tumbling from bed while reaching for the phone became a testament to her indomitable wit. Zsa Zsa was no mere caricature. She was a self-made icon who weaponized charm, humor, and calculated scandal to craft an empire as enduring as her legendary éclat. Mabel Normand. Mabel Normand, a pioneering star of silent cinema, carved her name into Hollywood history with razor-sharp comedic brilliance, yet her legacy remains entangled with the darker undercurrents of fame. While audiences adored her impeccable timing and vivacious charm, Normand's off-screen life spiraled into a vortex of addiction and scandal. Her struggles with narcotics became Hollywood's worst-kept secret, fueling whispers about her reckless liaisons with powerful industry figures. But it was 2 explosive incidents that irrevocably tarnished her reputation. In 1922, she found herself embroiled in the unsolved murder of director William Desmond Taylor, with rumors hinting at their intimate connection. Then, in 1924, her name splashed across headlines again when millionaire Cortland S. Dines was shot. with Norman's own pistol, though her chauffeur fired the fatal bullet. Though never formally charged in either case, the scandals clung to her like a shadow, eclipsing her artistic genius and reducing her to a cautionary tale of fame's fickleness. By the time of her tragic death from tuberculosis at 37, Normand had become a symbol of both silent film's golden age and its heartbreaking excesses. Elizabeth Taylor. Elizabeth Taylor's violet eyes and 7 marriages might dominate her pop culture mythos, but her true legacy lies in the seismic impact she made beyond the silver screen. A force of nature in Hollywood, Taylor wielded her fame as a weapon for change, particularly during the AIDS crisis. The death of her dear friend Rock Hudson galvanized her into activism at a time when the disease was shrouded in stigma and silence. Co-founding AMFAR, the American Foundation for AIDS Research, she became the movement's most visible celebrity advocate, raising millions and shattering prejudices with her unflinching compassion. Yet her resilience wasn't limited to philanthropy. Born with scoliosis, Taylor endured a lifetime of chronic pain, surviving over 40 surgeries and near blindness from cataracts, all while maintaining her status as a screen legend. Her tumultuous love affair with Richard Burton, though tabloid fodder, revealed unexpected depths. Their shared passion for literature led to a private world of poetry-filled love letters and bookstore pilgrimages, a stark contrast to their public fireworks. Taylor's shrewd business acumen further defied expectations. Her White Diamonds perfume line revolutionized celebrity branding, funding both her lavish lifestyle and her charitable endeavors. More than a beauty or a serial bride, Taylor was a trailblazer who turned personal adversity into a blueprint for empowerment, proving that reinvention, whether as an actress, activist, or entrepreneur, was her greatest role. Lana Turner. Lana Turner's platinum blonde allure and scandalous romance with mobster Johnny Stompanato might define her in the public imagination, but her life was a tapestry of trauma, tenacity, and quiet rebellion. Discovered at a soda fountain, Turner became MGM's sweater girl, a label she grew to resent as she fought for grittier roles beyond her pin-up persona. Her personal life mirrored this tension between image and reality. The childhood murder of her father left her starved for stability, a void she sought to fill through 8 turbulent marriages, most notoriously with Stompanato, whose abuse culminated in his fatal stabbing by Turner's 14-year-old daughter, Cheryl Crane. The trial became a media circus, yet Turner's raw courtroom testimony and unwavering maternal loyalty won public sympathy, allowing her career to survive. Behind the glamour, she battled studio control, demanding autonomy over her roles even as executives pushed her back into safe ingenue parts. Through it all, Turner's fierce protection of Cheryl revealed a woman far more complex than her bombshell caricature. A survivor who navigated Hollywood's sharks and personal demons with equal grit. Gene Tierney. Gene Tierney's ethereal beauty in classics like Laura and Leave Her to Heaven masked a life of quiet torment. Her fairy tale romance with designer Oleg Cassini disintegrated into cycles of infidelity and separation, while undiagnosed bipolar disorder fueled erratic behavior that alienated lovers and colleagues alike. Though never embroiled in outright scandal, Tierney's search for emotional anchorage through affairs hinted at a deeper hunger for validation. Her struggles peaked after the birth of her daughter Daria, who suffered disabilities due to Tierney contracting rubella during pregnancy, a guilt that haunted her. Institutionalized multiple times, she found fleeting solace in new romances, but her illness often sabotaged stability. Tierney's story is one of Hollywood's most poignant, a woman whose luminous on-screen presence belied the shadows that chased her off camera. Tallulah Bankhead. Tallulah Bankhead's throaty laugh and scandalous one-liners, "Darling, I'm pure as the driven slush," made her Broadway's most riotous icon. But her legacy as an LGBTQ+ pioneer and social justice firebrand remains under-celebrated. Openly bisexual in an era of rigid conformity, Bankhead flaunted affairs with women like Patsy Kelly and Billie Holiday, dubbing herself ambisextress with typical audacity. Born into Alabama political royalty, her father was Speaker of the House. She leveraged her privilege to champion civil rights and women's equality, once snarling at segregationists, "I'd rather be black than bigoted." Yet her hedonism, cocaine binges, nude parties, and a near-legendary sexual appetite masked profound insecurities about aging and addiction. Beneath the chaos lay startling generosity. She funded orphanages, supported struggling artists, and once paid a stranger's hospital bill on a whim. Bankhead wasn't just a wild child. She was a paradox, a rule-shattering activist wrapped in a mink coat, whose laughter echoed louder than her demons. Jean Harlow. Jean Harlow, celebrated as Hollywood's first platinum blonde bombshell, radiated an irresistible combination of beauty, wit, and charisma that made her a defining star of the 1930s. Her performances in classics like Hell's Angels and Dinner at 8 showcased her magnetic screen presence. Yet behind the dazzling facade lay a life marred by tragedy and personal turmoil. One of the most haunting episodes in Harlow's life was the mysterious death of her second husband, Paul Byrne, just months after their wedding. Found dead from a gunshot wound in their home, surrounded by traces of Harlow's perfume, Byrne's demise was officially deemed a suicide. But whispers of foul play and his troubled past cast a long shadow over Harlow's burgeoning career. Despite the scandal, her star continued to rise, and she became one of MGM's most bankable actresses. However, the toll of fame was steep. Her signature platinum locks, which set a beauty standard for generations, were achieved through agonizing chemical treatments that burned her scalp and damaged her hair irreparably. More devastatingly, Harlow suffered from undiagnosed kidney disease, a condition that plagued her with chronic pain and fatigue. Ignored by doctors who dismissed her symptoms as stress-related, her health deteriorated rapidly until her shocking death at just 26, leaving fans and colleagues heartbroken. Financially, Harlow's success brought little personal freedom. Her mother, Mama Jean, controlled her earnings with an iron grip, leaving the star financially dependent and emotionally stifled. Despite these struggles, Harlow was beloved for her kindness, forming deep friendships with co-stars like Clark Gable and Spencer Tracy, who mourned her profoundly. Though her life was tragically brief, Jean Harlow's legacy endures, not just as a screen siren, but as a woman whose warmth and resilience shone brighter than the studio lights. Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe remains the quintessential Hollywood icon, her image synonymous with glamour and sensuality. Yet beneath the glittering surface lay a woman tormented by self-doubt, abandonment, and a desperate yearning to be truly seen. Born Norma Jean Mortensen, her childhood was a harrowing cycle of foster homes and orphanages after her mother's mental illness rendered her incapable of care. This early instability forged a lifelong quest for love and validation, reflected in her 3 marriages. Her union with James Dougherty at 16 offered escape, but dissolved as her ambitions outgrew domesticity. Baseball legend Joe DiMaggio provided passion but bristled at her fame, their marriage imploding after her iconic 7-year itch subway grate scene ignited his jealousy. Playwright Arthur Miller, her third husband, seemed to offer intellectual kinship, but Monroe's spiraling insecurities and his emotional detachment left her feeling more isolated than ever. Far from the dumb blonde she portrayed, Monroe was a voracious reader with a library of 400-plus books, drawn to Dostoevsky and Joyce, and longed for roles that showcased her depth. Instead, she became trapped in the very image that made her famous, reliant on pills to cope with anxiety and insomnia. Her erratic behavior on sets like Something's Got to Give led to dismissals, exacerbating her despair. In August 1962, she was found dead from a barbiturate overdose at 36, a death ruled probable suicide but forever shrouded in conspiracy theories, particularly given her rumored affairs with JFK and RFK. Monroe's tragedy lies in the chasm between her luminous persona and the fractured woman beneath, a symbol of Hollywood's capacity to commodify vulnerability while offering no solace. Clara Bow. Clara Bow, the original It Girl, electrified silent cinema with her vivacious charm, but her off-screen life was a stark contrast to the carefree flapper she portrayed. Born into Brooklyn poverty with a mentally unstable, abusive mother and an absent father, Bow once defended herself with a butcher knife during a violent altercation, a trauma that left indelible scars. Stardom offered escape, and her 1927 film, it catapulted her to fame as the embodiment of jazz-age rebellion. Yet Hollywood's gossip mills demonized her for the very vivacity that made her a star. Rumors swirled of affairs with USC football players and directors, though many were tabloid fabrications. The transition to talkies devastated Beau. Her Brooklyn accent was mocked, and a betrayal by her secretary, who sold intimate secrets to the press, shattered her trust. By 1931, the relentless scrutiny triggered a nervous breakdown at 28. Retreating to a Nevada ranch with husband Rex Bell, she found fleeting peace, but mental illness, later diagnosed as schizophrenia, haunted her remaining years. Clara Bow's story is a cautionary tale of early Hollywood's brutality, a woman whose radiant on-screen joy masked a lifetime of pain. Joan Collins. Joan Collins' portrayal of Dynasty's Alexis Carrington cemented her as a pop culture villainess, but her real-life resilience rivals any soap opera plot. At 17, she survived a horrific assault by fiancé Maxwell Reed, who drugged her. She married him out of shame, only to flee the union soon after. Her 5 marriages included a fiery romance with Warren Beatty, whose infidelities ended their relationship, and a third husband whose drug addiction drained her fortune. Collins fought typecasting as a pretty face, demanding complex roles and equal pay on Dynasty, a rarity in 1980s television. Financially devastated by her ex's addiction, she reinvented herself as a best-selling novelist. Though discreet about same-sex relationships in a less tolerant era, Collins later embraced her status as an LGBTQ+ icon. Now in her 80s, she remains a defiant symbol of reinvention, proving glamour and grit are not mutually exclusive. Pamela Anderson. Pamela Anderson's unapologetic embrace of her sexuality has made her a lightning rod for decades. From Baywatch's red swimsuit to her tumultuous marriage to Tommy Lee, a relationship immortalized by a stolen honeymoon tape. Anderson has joked about her uncontrollable libido in her youth, but her candidness masks a deeper narrative of agency. While the media reduced her to a punchline, she leveraged her fame for activism, championing PETA and veganism long before it was trendy. Her later relationships, including with Kid Rock, reflected her refusal to conform to aging stereotypes. "I still love sex," she quipped at 50. Today, Anderson's memoir and documentary reveal a woman reclaiming her story, one where self-possession, not scandal, defines her legacy. Angelina Jolie. Angelina Jolie's romantic history reads like a screenplay of passion and intensity, with her relationship with Billy Bob Thornton standing as one of Hollywood's most memorably unconventional pairings. Their bond was so visceral that they famously wore vials of each other's blood around their necks, while candid interviews revealed an intimacy that bordered on the theatrical. Jolie's magnetic allure has consistently drawn commentary from former lovers, some of whom have alluded to her penchant for incorporating edgy elements, like knives, into her private moments. Details that only amplified her reputation as a fiercely adventurous partner. While her focus in later years has shifted dramatically toward global humanitarian efforts and raising her 6 children, the shadow of her earlier persona, a woman who embraced desire with unapologetic fervor, continues to color her public mystique. This duality, between the devoted mother activist and the fiery lover, has cemented Jolie as one of cinema's most enigmatic figures, a woman whose complexity defies easy categorization. Vivien Leigh. Vivien Leigh's legacy extends far beyond her iconic portrayal of Scarlett O'Hara, though her personal life was a tapestry of emotional turbulence and misunderstood struggles. Her passionate off-screen romances with co-stars like Robert Taylor and Peter Finch, conducted even during her marriage to Laurence Olivier, led mid-century gossip mongers to unfairly brand her with labels like nymphomaniac. Yet these reductive accusations masked a far darker reality: Leigh's lifelong battle with bipolar disorder, a condition exacerbated by the trauma of a devastating 1945 miscarriage. As revealed in the biography, Reframing Vivien Leigh, her health struggles were compounded by repeated bouts of sexually transmitted infections, a taboo subject that further tarnished her reputation in an unforgiving era. Despite these trials, Lee carried herself with a poise that belied her inner chaos, delivering performances of such depth that they transcended the scandals. Her story is one of brilliance shadowed by pain, a reminder of how mental health struggles were often weaponized against women in Hollywood's golden age. Hedy Lamarr. Hedy Lamarr was a paradox, a woman whose otherworldly beauty made her a silver screen sensation, yet whose intellect and personal audacity shattered every stereotype. Her 1933 film Ecstasy shocked audiences with unprecedented nudity, instantly branding her as a provocateur. But Lamarr's off-screen life was equally daring. 6 marriages, each marked by infidelity and drama, and rumored affairs with moguls like Howard Hughes painted a portrait of a woman unbound by convention. She was a fixture at Hollywood's most decadent soirees, where sexual exploration was as commonplace as champagne. Yet her true genius lay elsewhere. Lamarr co-invented frequency-hopping technology, a precursor to modern Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Despite this groundbreaking achievement, the press reduced her to a sex symbol, or worse, a freak, unable to reconcile her sensuality with her scientific mind. In defying the era's rigid expectations of femininity, Lamarr became a quiet revolutionary, her legacy a testament to the impossible standards imposed on women who dared to excel in both mind and body. Ingrid Bergman. Ingrid Bergman's 1949 affair with Italian director Roberto Rossellini wasn't just a scandal. It was an international firestorm that threatened to erase her career. At the height of her fame, the revelation that Bergman, then married, was pregnant with Rossellini's child out of wedlock ignited outrage in post-war America's puritanical climate. The backlash reached surreal heights when a U.S. senator denounced her as a perverted instrument of evil, while religious groups burned her effigies. This for a woman best known for playing saintly figures like Joan of Arc. The fallout was immediate. Bergman was effectively exiled from Hollywood for years, her wholesome image shattered. Yet her defiance, choosing love and artistic partnership over public approval, became its own kind of rebellion. Slowly, through powerhouse performances in films like Anastasia, she reclaimed her standing, proving that talent could eventually eclipse moralistic fury. Bergman's story remains a landmark case of how society polices women's autonomy, and how one actress refused to let condemnation define her. Joan Blondell. Joan Blondell brought a streetwise wit and earthy sensuality to her roles that mirrored her off-screen persona, a woman who laughed at convention long before it was fashionable. Her 3 marriages, including one to Dick Powell, were just the public-facing chapters of a romantic history peppered with affairs with Hollywood's elite. Unlike many actresses of the 1930s-40s, Blondell rejected the demure girl-next-door trope, instead embodying characters and living a life of unvarnished independence. She spoke openly about desire at a time when women were expected to feign indifference, and her sharp humor disarmed those who might judge her choices. While her name never graced scandals as salacious as her contemporaries, Blondell's quiet revolution was in her refusal to apologize for enjoying love, sex, or her hard-won career. In an industry that demanded female stars be either virgins or vamps, she carved a third path, a self-possessed woman who answered to no one's rules but her own. Epilogue: The Price of Passion. From Ava Gardner's tempestuous romances to Joan Blondell's sly defiance, these women navigated a Hollywood that simultaneously profited from their sexuality and punished them for embracing it. Their stories, of scandal, heartbreak, and resilience, reveal the double bind of fame, expected to embody male fantasies while remaining respectable. Some, like Bergman, faced exile. Others, like Lee, saw their struggles pathologized. Yet each, in her way, reclaimed agency, proving that desire and talent are not mutually exclusive. Their legacies endure not just in films, but as reminders of the battles fought, and still being fought, for the right to love, lust, and live without apology.